So this is the chapter Forest and Wildlife Resources, chapter 2 from Geography. Let's get started. So we started from a Lepcha folk song. So Narek, my lord, you are the creator of music in the world of Lepchas. O Narek, my lord, let me dedicate myself to you. Let me gather your music from the springs, the rivers, the mountains, the forest, the insects, and the animals. Let me gather your music from the sweet breeze and offer it to you. So, this is a Lepcha folk song, and we are starting this chapter. Pretty weird name, actually. I think it's Narath rather than Narek. But anyway, who am I to judge? We share this planet with millions of other living organisms or living beings. Starting from the microorganisms and bacteria, lichens to banyan trees, elephants, and blue whales. This entire habitat that we live in has immense biodiversity. We humans, along with all living organisms, form a complex web of ecological systems in which we are only a part, okay, very much dependent on this system for our own existence. Great way to start this. For example, the plants, animals, and microorganisms recreate the quality of the air we breathe, the water we drink, and the soil that produces our food, without which we cannot survive. Forests play a key role in the ecological system, as these are also the primary producers on which all other living beings depend. Now, the following is a show one mark question, okay, for the exams. Alright. Now, the biodiversity or biological diversity is immensely rich in wildlife and cultivated species, diverse in form and function, but closely integrated in a system through multiple networks of interdependencies. So biodiversity or biological diversity is immensely rich in wildlife and cultivated species, diverse in form and function, but closely integrated in a system through multiple networks of interdependencies. Points to remember: immensely rich in this wildlife, diverse in form and function (FNF), and integrated through multiple networks of dependencies. So, network of dependencies, interdependencies. These 3 points that can land you 1 mark. 1 to 3. Flora and fauna in India. If you look around, you will be able to find that there are some animals and plants which are unique in your area. In fact, India is one of the world's richest countries in terms of its vast array of biological diversity. This is possibly twice or thrice the number yet to be discovered. Okay. You have already studied in detail about the extent and variety of forest and wildlife resources in India. You may have realized the importance of these resources in our daily life. These diverse flora and fauna are so well integrated in our daily life that we take these for granted. Okay, but lately they are under great stress, mainly due to the insensitivity to our environment. Find out stories prevalent in your region which are about the harmonious relationships between human beings and nature. Conservation of forest and wildlife in India. So, the conservation in the background of rapid decline in wildlife population, and forestry has become essential. Okay, but why do we need to conserve our forests and wildlife? Because of the reasons that we said before, or we'll die. Conservation preserves the ecological diversity and our life support systems, water, air, and soil. Okay, so conservation preserves the ecological diversity and our life support systems, water, air, and soil. It also preserves the genetic diversity of plants and animals for better growth of species and breeding. Okay, so for example, wait, hold on. Now, for example, in agriculture, we are still dependent on traditional crop varieties. Fisheries too are heavily dependent on the maintenance of aquatic biodiversity. In the 1960s and 1970s, conservations demanded a national wildlife protection program. Okay, now the Indian Wildlife Protection Act was implemented in 1972. A question can be coming like this: when was the Indian Wildlife Protection Act implemented? 1972 is the answer, with various provisions for protecting habitats. Now, before continuing, let us look at these diagrams. Now, the tribal girls using bamboo saplings in a nursery in Mukhali near the Silent Valley. Importance of this biodiversity. Tribal women selling minor forest produce. Importance of our forests. These two examples. Leaf litter collection by women folk. So, if you think about it, it is again a boon that we have forests because they get some work to do. Okay, and maybe even they can burn it if it's dry, but again, burning it is also bad. They can put there in their fields and maybe get some organic manure or humus or something like that. And an all India list of protected species was also published. The thrust of the program was towards protecting the remaining population of certain endangered species by banning hunting, giving legal protection to their habitats, and restricting trade in wildlife. Okay, and all India list the sentences. This is actually a very interesting story which I could tell you later on, due to the fact that there is one section in this textbook that talks about this. Subsequently, central and many state governments established national parks and wildlife sanctuaries, about which you have already studied. The central government has announced several projects for protecting specific animals which were gravely threatened. Okay, which were so include this includes the tiger, the one-horned rhinoceros, the Kashmir stag or hangul, three types of crocodiles: freshwater crocodile, saltwater crocodile, and gharial, the Asiatic lions, and more. Okay, most recently, the Indian elephant, black buck, chankara, the great Indian bustard, and the snow leopard, etc., have been given full or partial legal protection against hunting and trade throughout India. Now, here's the story. See this animal? It was supposed to be the national animal of India. Okay, but the question might be why? No, this question is not going to come for the exam. Just as a fact, why did we choose the peacock as the national animal? The thing is, this name of this particular bird seems like another bad word which I cannot utter because God's listening, so are you, and I need to pass through YouTube censors. Great Indian bustard. Okay, so that's why it is not the national bird of India, but the peacock is. and that also has a very bad response, because now they're almost extinct. That is, they are endangered. The key term is endangered. The term endangered can give you some marks. There we go. And the next thing is the Project Tiger. The tiger is one of the key wildlife species in the faunal web. Okay. In 1973, the authorities realized that the tiger population had dwindled to 1,827 from an estimated 55,000 at the turn of a century. The major threats to the tiger population are the numerous, such as poaching for trade. Numerous activities. I think this sentence is not completed. Numerous activities such as poaching for trade, shrinking habitat, depletion of prey because base species, depletion of prey-based species, growing human population, etc. The trade of tiger skins and the use of their bones in traditional medicines, especially in the Asian countries, left the tiger population on the verge of extinction. Since India and Nepal provide habitat about 2/3 of the surviving tigers population in the tiger population in the world, these two nations became prime target for poaching and illegal trading. Okay, so important points here are the fact that in 1973 the authorities realized that the tiger population has reduced to 1827 from an estimated 55,000 by the turn of a century. Okay, one thing. And the next thing, since India and Nepal provide habitat about 2/3 of the surviving tiger population in the world, these two nations became the prime target for poaching and illegal trading. So Project Tiger, one of the well publicized wildlife campaigns in the world, has been launched in 1973. Okay, tiger conservation has been viewed not only as an effort to save an endangered species, but with equal importance as the means of preserving biotypes and seizable magnitude. Corbett National Park in Uttarakhand, Sundarbans National Park in West Bengal, Bandhavgarh National Park in Madhya Pradesh, Sariska Wildlife Sanctuary in Rajasthan, Manas Tiger Reserve in Assam, and Periyar Tiger Reserve in Kerala are some of the reserves in India. Now I am going to mark some places in a different color. Your question might be, why did I do this? The thing is, all these questions are map-based questions. Map-based questions sure to come. Okay, this will come, and we'll make a separate video on that, about these map-based questions. Okay, now the conservation projects are now focusing on biodiversity rather than on a few of its components. There is now a more intensive search for different conservation measures. Increasingly, even insects are beginning to find a place in conservation planning. In the notification under the Wildlife Act of 1918 and 1986, several hundred butterflies, moths, beetles, and one dragonfly has been added to the list of protected species. In 1991, for the first time, plants were also added to the list, starting with 6 species. You see how we are in a very bad situation. Okay. Types and distribution of forest and wildlife resources. Even if we want to conserve our vast forest and wildlife resources, it is rather difficult to manage, control, and regulate them. Okay. In India, much of its forest and wildlife resources are either owned or managed by the government through the forest department or other government departments. These are classified under the following categories: reserved forest. More than half of the total forest land has been declared reserved forests. Okay, reserved forests are regarded as the nations regarded as the most valuable as far as the conservation of forest and wildlife resources are concerned. Now I'll read this again because this might be very confusing because I made a truck a lot of mistakes. Reserved forest, more than half of the total forest land has been declared reserved forests. Reserved forests are regarded as the most valuable as far as the conservation of forest and wildlife resources are concerned. Then we have the protected forests. Almost 1/3 of the total forest area is protected forest as declared by the forest department. Okay, this forest land are protected from any further depletion. Okay, now the unclassed forests. These are other forests and wastelands belonging to both government and private individuals and communities. Okay, now reserved and protected forests are also referred to as the permanent forest estates maintained for the purpose of producing timber and other forest produce. Okay, so and for forest produce and for protective reasons. Okay, so Madhya Pradesh has the largest area under permanent forests, constituting 75% of its total forest area. So Madhya Pradesh has the largest area under the permanent forest area, constituting 75% of its total forest area. Jammu and Kashmir, Andhra Pradesh, Uttarakhand, Kerala, Tamil Nadu, West Bengal and Maharashtra have the largest percentage of reserved forests of its total forest area, whereas Bihar, Haryana, Punjab, Himachal Pradesh, Odisha, Rajasthan have a bulk of it under the protected forest areas. All northeastern states and parts of Gujarat have a very high percentage of their forest as unclassed forests managed by local communities. So here's some news bulletins on the gharial birds. Okay, and they're almost extinction. Wait, hold on. Gharials are not birds. They're crocodiles. Why did I say birds? Maybe because they eat birds. Okay, so my confusion. The gharials are some type of crocodiles which are on the verge of extinction. Okay, so they are talking about the gharials. Okay, and they're talking about the bird deaths in Yamuna because the Yamuna river is so toxic. Okay, and those are the things. Now we continue. Community and conservation. Conservation strategies are not new in our country. We often ignore that in India. So we ignore the conservation strategies. Okay, forests are also home to some of the traditional communities. In some areas of India, local communities are struggling to conserve these habitats along with the government officials, recognizing that only this will secure their long-term livelihood. In Sariska Tiger Reserve, Rajasthan, villagers have fought against mining by citing the Wildlife Protection Act. Okay. In many areas, the villages themselves are protecting habitats and explicitly rejecting the government involvement. The inhabitants of 5 villages in the Alwar district of Rajasthan have declared 1,200 hectares of forest as their Bhairodev Dakau Sonchuri, declaring their own set of rules and regulations which do not allow hunting and are protecting the wildlife against any outside encroachments. The famous Chipko movement in the Himalayas has not only successfully resisted deforestation in several areas but has also shown that community afforestation with indigenous species can be enormously successful. very famous Chipko movements. Attempts to revive the traditional conservation methods or developing new methods of ecological farming are now widespread. So, farmers and citizen groups like the Beach Bachao Andolan in the Teri and Navdanya have shown the adequate levels of diversified crop production without the use of synthetic chemicals and possible and economically viable. Okay, now in India, Joint Forest Management JFM program furnishes a good example for involving local communities in the management and restoration of uh, degraded where? Where? Degraded forests. Okay. Now, before I continue, I need to read this. The sacred groves, a wealth of diverse and rare species. Nature worship is an age old tribal belief based on the premise that all creations of nature have to be protected. Okay, such beliefs have preserved several virgin forests in pristine form called a sacred grove. Okay, the forest of gods and goddesses. These patches of forest or parts of large forests have been left untouched by the local people, and any interference with them is banned. Certain societies revere a particular tree which they have preserved from time immemorial. The Mundas and Santal of Chota Nagpur region worship the Mahua, okay, and Kadamba trees. The tribals of Odisha and Bihar worship the tamarind and mango trees during the weddings. To many of us, people and banyan trees are considered sacred. Okay, so just saying that when I'm reading this, I remember some person called Birsa Munda. I'm not sure where I have read it. I think in the Freedom of India chapter about the British and India. Indian society comprises several cultures, each with its own set of traditional methods of conserving nature and its creations. Sacred qualities are often ascribed to springs, mountain peaks, plants, and animals which are closely protected. You will find troops of macaques and lagors around many temples. They are fed daily and treated as part of the temple devotees. In and around the Bishnoi villages in Rajasthan, herds of black buck, nilgai, and peacocks can be seen as the integral part of the community and nobody harms them. So, we continue with our main chapter. The program has been in formal existence since 1988. What program again? Joint Forest Management Program. Okay. When the state of Odisha passed the first resolution for joint forest management. Joint forest management depends on the formation of local village institutions that undertake protection activities mostly on degraded forest land managed by forest department. So the GFM depends on the formation of local village institutions that undertake the protection activities mostly on degraded forest land managed by the forest department. There we go. In return, the members of these communities are entitled to immediate benefits like non-timber forest produces and share in the timber harvested by successful protection. The clear lesson from the dynamics of both environmental destruction and reconstruction in India is that local communities everywhere has to be involved in some kind of natural resource management. But there is still a long way to go before local communities are at the center stage and decision making. Except only those economic or developmental activities that people centric, environmental friendly, and economically rewarding. Here we have an activity also. Write a short essay on any practices which you might have observed and practiced in your everyday lives that conserve and protect the environment around you. So we are stopping this chapter with a quote by Gautama Gupta. Okay. So, did I say Gupta? I mean Buddha. Gautama Buddha. Okay. And he said this: the tree is a peculiar organism of unlimited kindness and benevolence, and makes no demand for its sustenance, and extends generously the products of its life activity. It affords protection to all beings, offering shade even to the axemen who destroy it. A very good quote by him. And rest we have the these questions from the NCERT exercises which we could do because of this chapter being very easy. And I guess that's it for this chapter. Pretty easy. This was over in like what, 30 minutes? Yeah. And I see no summary, that's one thing. So thanks for watching. I guess this ended very quickly, and bye.